Hi, my name is Cathy Neptune and welcome to my kitchen. I'm going to give you tools, tips, and recipes to make your time in the kitchen fun, fast, and fabulous. And we're welcoming in the holiday season this time. I thought I'd do something a little different because it's so hectic on Christmas morning or any time that you're entertaining. So I thought we'd do a make-ahead breakfast meal. And we're going to start out with our baked apple French toast. And there's so many different variations of this that I'll share with you as we go along, because that's what I love to do, to get you to start thinking outside the box and your family's preferences and how you can incorporate that into these simple and easy and hopefully delicious recipes. So our baked apple French toast is a concept of just your egg batter and your bread, and we're going to stuff it in between with some sliced apples, but we're going to bake it in the oven. And it's best if you do it the night before and fill the pan, so cover it with some foil and leave it in the refrigerator overnight. So in the morning, all you have to do is preheat your oven at 400 and pop it in for about 35 minutes. And it's very good if you need to let it set for a while. It'll wait for you, and you can always reheat it in the microwave. So perfect thing to do. Then we're going to make a turkey sausage, and it's kind of an interesting and fun way to make your breakfast patties. I'll give you some tips for that as well. And then we're going to do some OJ spritzers, a nice refreshing drink in the morning with no alcohol, and I'm sure your kids and family will just love the way it's presented. It makes it festive. It's all about presentation. So I'm going to get started with our baked apple French toast. And I have a larger one in the oven in a casserole style, but I like to give you variations. So I'm doing an individual serving or 2 small servings if you'd like. And you can adapt this however you'd like. If you have some pretty dishes or pretty bowls that are oven proof, this is the way to go. In a smaller version too, you could do in a regular loaf pan. That would serve about 2 to 4 people, depending on the serving size. But today we have it on a little larger 10 by 8 baking pan as well. So you can adapt this and multiply it or divide it however you'd like. So I've sprayed the inside of this mini loaf pan, and I've added 1 slice of Italian or French bread in the bottom. And I like to leave it in 1 slice, or you could cut it up, slice it up. It's a great way to use leftover bread. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm having the recipe and taking it in half, and I have 3 eggs here that I'm just going to whisk together just to break them up with the yolks. A little pinch of salt and a 1.5 tablespoons of white sugar that I have measured out here, and a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. That's approximately 1/2 teaspoon. With that, we're going to add a little milk to this. You can do 1/2 and 1/2 if you want a richer one. Low-fat milk, soy milk, whatever works for you and your family that you have in your refrigerator. So whisking that up, we have 3/4 cup of milk. So let's do the math on this. If you were doing a full recipe, the one like I have in the oven, you do 6 eggs, 1.5 cups of milk, a teaspoon of vanilla, 3 tablespoons of sugar, and a bigger pinch of salt. I'm going to set this aside. Did you know that room temperature eggs mix a little better than if you have cold eggs? So if you know you're going to be cooking or using eggs, leave them out overnight on your counter, and they mix a lot easier. I'm going to take half of this, and I'm going to pour it right on top of the bread slice, like so, and it's going to kind of float to the top. So you have a lot of egg in this. I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to get our apple. And this is my scary apple peel a core slicer. And it's a variation of a very old tool that's been around a long time. And you can actually put this on your countertop. I have a little table somebody made for me, but it usually fits on a table. And remember, you can always call or email me on my email address for tools like this that make your life in the kitchen easier. And I like to use the green Granny Smith apples because they're just more reliable. They're a sturdier apple, and they bake very evenly, and they're not too soft or too sweet. You don't want a mushy apple in something like this. Now, you know, this time of year, take your apple peels, put them on top of the stove with a little slice of orange zest and cinnamon sticks. It's a great way to use up if you have cloves or nutmeg, and you put them in a pot and boil them on the stove. It smells like Christmas any time of year. That's a nice tip for leftovers. But mine are going right in the trash tonight because we're not going to do that. I'm going to take our apple. Look at how fun this is. See, it's all peeled and cored and sliced. And take a knife, cut it right down the center. Oops, we missed a seed there. Don't look. This is a great tool, too, for potatoes. I use that for sliced potatoes. Line your loaf pan with potatoes on your meatloaf, and it comes out really good. So we're just going to place these on top of your bread slice, like so. You can do as many or as little as you'd like. And they don't have to be fancy. And then, reach around here, we have a sprinkling of half sugar and half cinnamon. I'll put that over the top, like so. Doesn't it smell good? Half sugar, half cinnamon. And get yourself, again, I can tell you where to get these. These are so handy. A little sprinkler like that. We'll put our other bread on top. And it doesn't matter if it breaks. We're going to try and fit as much of this inside as we can right on top. And take my whisk and just kind of press it in. This is going to be a full one. And you can see why you probably want to let this set overnight so that everything incorporates into your baked apple French toast. Let's make it look pretty on top. All the little apple slices. Another little dusting of our cinnamon sugar. And you know, you could do any filling that you'd like. Sometimes I do fresh raspberries with some cream cheese, sweetened cream cheese inside. You can do, add cranberries, whole berry cranberry sauce to your apple mixture. Put that inside. Pears are great with some nice toasted pecans on the top. It's just endless. Use your seasonal fruits and any kind of bread that you might have on hand that might be a little dry or stale. And the important thing is let it set overnight in your refrigerator. So wait until you see how we serve this, how this comes out in our larger batch. And I'm going to pop this away to the side. And when we come back, we're going to do our really easy and yummy breakfast sausage. You're going to be surprised. See you soon. Welcome back. Oh, I'm chopping up some fresh herbs for our turkey breakfast sausage. And wait until you see our baked apple French toast just came out of the oven. I'm going to show you. And as I mentioned, we did a larger size in a casserole dish. Look at that. How easy is that to do? The night before, it bakes at 400 degrees for about 35 minutes. And we soaked it overnight. Oh, it smells awesome. So we're going to serve that a little later on, but I'm going to do our breakfast sausage for you. And that is going to be good eats. So in that bowl here, first of all, I'm chopping up some herbs. And I like to use fresh herbs when I can because, believe it or not, I still had some out in my garden. This is lemon thyme and pineapple sage. But you can even buy fresh herbs now in little containers. Or you can use the dried kind. Here's some rubbed ground sage and some thyme leaves. Perfectly fine, but you want to get all the flavors of your sausage, your breakfast sausage. And chop those up finely as you can, because it really adds a lot of flavor in here. I love buying different flavored herbs. There's so many variations. I use my chocolate mint. You can buy pineapple mint these days, and they really do smell and taste like the names would suggest. So you want to make sure this is really, really chopped so you don't get big chunks of it in your sausage. And I'm using a mixture today of ground turkey, which is very lean, and then also some lean ground pork, which I think adds a little bit of fat and flavor to the turkey. Turkey tends to be a little bit dry. I switched over knives. This is a bigger knife to use. So I think the turkey needs a little help in the moisture department. And if I was doing a turkey meatloaf, I always add some extra virgin olive oil or some veggies, as we did in our turkey meatloaf, because it's too dry on its own. It makes it tough if you don't add anything. So I think using the ground pork brings a lot to the table as far as adding moisture. So I'm going to put this in. It's probably a good tablespoon of each of these herbs. And I'll tell you, if you want to start your own herb garden, the thyme and the sage, very good herbs to start with, because they're very, very easy to grow. They're very durable, and they're so useful. You can even dry them or freeze them if you want. But it always tastes like the holidays, or smells like the holidays when you use them. So I have here some flat leaf parsley, which is my favorite for flavors. I just love it. It has a lot more flavor than the curly leaf. And you can always buy it fresh and chop it up. And again, this adds a nice freshness to your turkey sausage. Your sausage mixture, rather. We're not going to add anything else. Like if you were making a meatloaf, what would you add to your meatloaf? Breadcrumbs and eggs and fillers such as that. But for a sausage, you want something a little denser and meatier. So we're not going to add any of those. We're just going to add flavorings. Don't forget to use a damp paper towel underneath your cutting board so it doesn't swivel all over the counter while you're chasing your herbs all over. So you put that in. That's about 2 tablespoons. You can never have too much parsley. And then this is a great idea. Now you can buy your herbs in a jar like so, but I love these little packets. They don't cost me, they're about 99 cents to buy. And this is some marjoram, dried marjoram. We're going to add, this is a little stronger because it's dried, so you want about a half a teaspoon in there. And then I'm going to add a lot of pepper. And this is a grind mixture that I buy. And we're going to do about a good teaspoon in there. And then a little bit of salt, a lot of salt, and mix all that together. You could do it by hand. If nobody was looking, I'd probably do this by hand. But you could do that. And you can make this mixture the night before if you'd like, or you could even cook these the night before, because everything else has been prepared ahead of time. So all you want to do is combine, make sure you get it evenly distributed with all the herbs and the salt and the pepper. Remember, we have marjoram, the lemon thyme, the pineapple sage, but it comes out just as well with just the plain herbs. You don't have to have the flavored one, but if you have them, why not use them, right? So that's pretty good. And then we're going to take one of my favorite tools in the kitchen, and that's a scoop, a metal scoop. And I'm going to go over here and turn my oven griddle on. I'm using 2, and we're going to put them on medium-low and just let that heat up really well. You don't have to oil it. By the way, I forgot to tell you, before we put our baked apple French toast into the oven, I dotted it with a few pieces of butter on the top, about a tablespoon or so, just to help it brown and so the apples wouldn't dry out. Now we're going to flip the board over. So that was easy so far, right? It's just mixing things up. And you know, I have added different combinations of this. You could put certainly some shredded apples in here if you'd like. I'm going to go grab a piece of parchment paper that I've pre-cut, and this is how we're going to make our patties. Yeah, so you could grate some apples and do that, and it adds a nice sweetness to it. I'm using a medium scoop. I'm going to use this. We put the parchment right on the paper, and you'll see why in a minute. And I try and get them as even as possible. You can see all the nice flecks of herbs. And this should make probably a good dozen, I would say. We have all those on the board. Now here's the fun part. Take this, put your parchment over the top, taking a baking sheet, and you press it down. Check to see if it's the right thickness. Let's make them a little thinner. By the way, this works on hamburger too. If you're making a whole bunch of hamburger patties. Hey, that looks pretty good. And that's how you do a bunch of hamburger patties. I'm going to take these over. And they don't have to be perfect because, hey, they're homemade. So you want them to look, let's call these rustic. That works for me. So our griddle should be very hot. Let's just check. And again, you don't have to oil your griddle because there's plenty of fat in the pork. So if you hear the sizzle, you know you're good. And let's make a few more. Let's see if we'll have enough for a dozen. And like I said, you can make these ahead and freeze them. They freeze beautifully. Let's add a little more to that one. It's a little small. And I'd say cook them about 4 minutes per side. You can certainly do a smaller scoop if you wanted a smaller side. Ooh, that's good. We got a few more. And parchment on top. Children love to do this. This is a great recipe for them to get in there, have them wash their hands and mix all this up by hand, and then make their little patties. Just like so. Look at that. And you could freeze them uncooked if you'd like, but I like to cook them. I think they keep moisture that way. And let me see if we can fit some more on here on the griddle. These came out a little bit larger, which is fine. And those are just going to cook. And I wanted to say too about a baked apple French toast. You know, you could do a savory version of that as well. Instead of the apples, you would omit the sugar from the eggs and add salt and pepper and seasonings and just layer it with some mushrooms. You could use these wonderful sausages cooled and crumbled in, some ham, cheese, any kind of cheese that you like. I've even done a Mexican one, and I did it in a bun pan. It was amazing. It's beautiful. It's an all-in-one meal, and everybody loves it. So think about what your family likes and use this recipe as a basic and go from there with your own ideals. It'll wow them. We're going to finish cooking our sausages, and we'll be back in a minute. Hi, welcome back. We have our casserole, our baked apple French toast out of the oven, and it's good to let it set for about 5 to 10 minutes, and which is perfect if you're involved in some activities in the morning time. This casserole will wait for you, which is really good. Our breakfast sausages are all done, waiting on the griddle just to keep them warm. Again, you could do those ahead of time, cover them with foil, let them set. And you can always take the foil off and just warm them slightly in the microwave. It's a great make-ahead breakfast. And we're going to do, for drinks this morning, our OJ Spritzer. Get your prettiest festive glasses. And I have a mixture here. It's just store-bought orange, peach, and mango juice. And I'm just going to put a little bit in your prettiest glass. And this is chilled, so I don't particularly care to put ice in it, so I make sure that the juice is chilled. I have, this is wonderful, sparkling orange mango water that's flavored, and this is going to add the bubbly, and like I said, it's very festive. Children love this without adding any Prosecco. If it was an adult drink, I would certainly add Prosecco. Let's make it sparkle a lot. And serve that right before, pour it right before you serve it to your guests. And then I did these fun skewers I thought were very holiday colors with the green, that's a lime slice, and a red cherry on the top. So they're easy, refreshing, and fun. Our OJ Spritzers. And mix it up. Do a cranberry spritzer and get some cranberry ice, sparkling ice water as well, and do what you think your family and friends would enjoy. So we're going to come right back and plate up our breakfast. Be right back. We're just taking our turkey and pork breakfast sausages off the griddle, and look at how beautiful and crusty they are. Make sure your griddle is nice and hot, and don't disturb them. Turn them only once. Don't move them around. Let them sear, because that's what gives you a really good crust on the outside. These are so fragrant, so beautiful, and really quite inexpensive to do. This will be a favorite at your house any time of the year. So we're going to put those out and serve them. How pretty is that? Clear off the counter here. Those are our breakfast sausages. Oh, look at the sprinkling of herbs that we have in there. So nice and colorful and festive. I'm going to get a few platters for you. And we're going to bring, let's put these up here. And here's our beautiful brunch baked apple French toast, our main dish. It's beautiful, if I do say so. And I sprayed that as well ahead of time with a little bit of coating so that in any chance it might stick, you're covered. So let's take a platter. And you're done opening all your gifts, and everybody's hungry. And we're going to cut a beautiful piece. You can cut it with a knife if you'd like. I'm just using a spatula. I'm going to take it from the side. This is going to be a nice, of course the first piece is always the most difficult. Let's do it in half because they'll be back for more. Just going to take a square piece, serve it here. beautiful dish. And we have, of course, some fresh maple syrup, a little powdered sugar. Well, maybe not. Oh, let me grab the powdered sugar here, because it makes it look a little finished. I'll tell you, that looks like Christmas to me. Some beautiful sausage on the side. And you have a beautiful feast for your family. Is that beautiful? That says Christmas and happy holidays to me. So thank you all for watching. Remember, I appreciate all your comments and ideas and feedback and your questions. So be sure to send me any questions or suggestions to me at my email address below. And I'm so happy to share with you. Thank you again for watching. Happy holidays, and may the fork be with you.